The safe thing to do is track a new course back up online.
Then what we gonna do? Sit out there like a bunch of goddamn ducks? You and your half-breed son get to walk on out? I'm talking to you.
The proper thing to do would be to...
The world of cinema has seen countless survival films, but few have carved their names into storytelling history the way The Revenant has. Even years after its release, the film continues to spark discussions, new interpretations, filmmaking analyses, and behind-the-scenes discoveries that keep its legacy alive. The updates and insights that continue to surface around the movie, its production approach, creative challenges, aesthetic decisions, and the lasting influence it has had on both audiences and future filmmakers, showcase a work that refuses to fade with time. The film remains a landmark example of what happens when ambition, raw emotion, and artistic discipline collide to create something that feels almost mythic. The continuing conversations around it reveal just how deeply it still resonates with fans and creators who study its methods and the extreme lengths the team went to in order to capture a sense of authenticity rarely seen on screen. Every new discussion sheds light on a different layer. Whether it's about the unique commitment to natural lighting, the physical endurance demanded from the performers, the thematic depth explored through silence and atmosphere, or the symbolic storytelling embedded in every landscape, movement, and breath. One of the ongoing areas of renewed interest is the film's exploration of nature as a force that is both breathtaking and brutal. Many recent breakdowns and analyses focus on how the film treats the natural world not as a backdrop, but as an active presence that tests the limits of human resilience. This is one of the reasons people still talk about the production methods used to capture the cold, the isolation, the raw wilderness, and the sense of insignificance the characters face as they push through physical and emotional torment. These elements have continued to inspire content creators, filmmakers, and movie enthusiasts who look back at The Revenant as an example of how environment becomes a narrative character in its own right. People revisit the film to study this unique approach, often drawing comparisons to newer survival films and pointing out how The Revenant set a standard in showing human struggle without relying heavily on dialogue or dramatic exaggeration. Instead, the film uses atmosphere, body language, and the ruthless honesty of nature to deliver a story that feels almost primal. Another topic that frequently emerges in new discussions is the dedication and sacrifice that went into the performances. Fans and analysts emphasize how the movie's emotional weight comes from moments of silence, exhaustion, and subtle expressions that reveal more than any spoken line could. New reflections on the film often describe how its power comes from this physical storytelling approach and how the performers immerse themselves completely in the unforgiving environment. People continue to share insights about how this level of dedication transformed the film from a standard survival narrative into a cinematic experience that feels brutally real. Over the years, the behind-the-scenes stories have become almost as iconic as the movie itself, and they continue to spark interest because they highlight the intensity of the commitment behind every frame. The way the film approaches suffering, determination, revenge, and the thin line between life and death has become a subject of ongoing analysis for creators who dissect individual scenes to illustrate how physical hardship is used to bring emotional authenticity to the screen. Discussions about the visuals of The Revenant also remain active, particularly around how the film's natural light cinematography continues to influence new filmmakers. Many people re-examine how the film used long takes, wide landscapes, and carefully choreographed movement to generate a sense of immersion. Recent conversations often point out how the camera seems to float through the world, capturing both the beauty and misery of the environment in a way that feels almost spiritual. Even today, new filmmakers and film students study the techniques used to achieve these visuals, drawing inspiration from the decision to rely on natural light, real locations, and continuous movement. Analysts often describe how these choices give the movie its haunting atmosphere, an atmosphere that is now referenced when critics evaluate contemporary films attempting similar styles. The visual identity of The Revenant has become a standard of comparison, and updates in filmmaking discussions continually point back to it as an example of how imagery can convey emotional weight without needing elaborate dialogue or explanation. There is also ongoing interest in the symbolic layers of the story, with many people continuing to interpret the film in different ways. Some see it as a tale of vengeance, others as a meditation on survival, and still others as a reflection on humanity's relationship with nature. These interpretations keep evolving over time, leading to new theories and discussions that give the film fresh life even years after its release. Recent interpretations tend to focus on how the story shifts between realism and spiritual symbolism, especially in moments that express themes of loss, memory, and the thin barrier between life and the afterlife. Many fans revisit specific symbolic elements, such as visions, dreams, and flashbacks, to explore how they contribute to the emotional structure of the story. These discussions continue to grow as new viewers discover the film, bringing their own perspectives and cultural experiences into the conversation, which keeps the film relevant long after its initial impact. The sound design of the film is another area people still talk about, especially in newer filmmaking discussions. Sound creators and aspiring editors revisit the movie to analyze how silence, wind, breathing, and distant echoes are used to heighten tension and isolation. Many breakdowns point out that the soundscape feels almost alive, creating a layer of storytelling that works together with the visuals to draw the viewer into the character's inner world. The updates and insights that keep emerging often highlight how the film avoids relying heavily on music and instead uses the natural environment to create psychological weight. This has become a teaching point in many discussions about modern filmmaking, with creators continually pointing back to The Revenant as an example of how meaningful sound design can be in building atmosphere. There are also frequent updates from filmmaking communities discussing how the film challenged traditional production approaches. Many content creators reflect on how The Revenant pushed boundaries by choosing difficult locations, unpredictable weather, and physically demanding conditions for the cast and crew. This continues to spark debates about filmmaking philosophy, whether creativity should push human limits or whether safety and comfort should take priority. These conversations remain active because the film represents a turning point where artistic ambition and physical endurance were intertwined in a way few films attempt. People still share stories, opinions, and analyses about whether such intense production methods are justified by the final product, and these debates show no signs of fading. Another aspect that continues to generate attention is how the film changed career trajectories and influenced a generation of actors and filmmakers. Even now, creators reference The Revenant when discussing transformative performances, meticulous direction, and the emotional power of physical acting. Many reflect on how the movie pushed the boundaries of what mainstream cinema considers possible, inspiring new creators to take risks and experiment with unconventional storytelling methods. The film's influence can be seen in the way new survival dramas attempt to replicate its tone, pacing, and visual language, often being directly compared to it in ongoing discussions and reviews. Fans continue to revisit the emotional themes of the film as well. The story's exploration of grief, determination, and human endurance has sustained long-term discussions about how the film captures the essence of survival, not just physically, but spiritually. Many new viewers share their experiences of how the film made them reflect on loss, perseverance, and the idea of finding meaning in seemingly impossible circumstances. These emotional responses keep the movie alive in community discussions, as new generations discover it and add their interpretations to the larger conversation. Every revisit brings out new emotional details, as viewers notice subtle expressions, quiet moments, and thematic symbolism they may have missed before. The legacy of The Revenant continues to expand through analysis videos, film essays, student projects, and creative commentaries. It remains one of those rare films that people return to not just to enjoy but to study, critique, and learn from. Whether it's the technical achievements, the emotional depth, the symbolism, or the raw physicality of the performances, there is always something new for viewers to uncover. This is why updates continue to surface even without new official content. The film itself generates endless discussion because its layers are so rich. People still discover behind-the-scenes stories they hadn't known, or rewatch scenes to understand the emotional nuances they overlooked before. The conversation around this film refuses to quiet down, proving that some stories leave a permanent mark on audiences and creators alike.